Whew. Yeah! Welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. If you watch my show, you're in my corner. My name's Nate, and so here we go. Okay, today's episode is a post-fight episode for UFC on Fox Sports 1. The first one ever on Fox Sports 1. So, yeah, here we go. Let's go down the main card, the 6-fight main card on Fox Sports 1. There were some really good matches and some disappointing matches. Most of them were awesome. 3 of them, the fights went exactly who I thought would win, and the other 3, I was wrong on who won, so I was 50-50 on this card. Okay, so let's get to the main event. In the light heavyweight division, we had Mauricio Shogun versus Chael Sonnen. Yeah, this is one of the fights I was right about. I was right that Chael Sonnen won. Now, I did not expect him to win by submission guillotine in round 1, pulling guard. That was a shocker, but a win's a win. I'm happy Chael Sonnen won. I say give him a couple more matches. If he wins those, give him a title shot. I think Chael Sonnen should go back down to middleweight. I think he has more success there. He's just better. The light heavyweight division will ultimately just eat him alive. I mean, Shogun's great, but Shogun's been hit and miss in his last umpteen fights. Chael Sonnen is a pretty good fighter, decent at light heavyweight, very better than average for sure at middleweight. Yeah, so Chael Sonnen wins submission guillotine round 1. It was just Chael Sonnen using his wrestling. He went for those takedowns and got it, and like I said, Shogun's takedown defense, that's what he really needed to work on. Shogun was too focused on working on his boxing. He needed to work more on his MMA wrestling to stuff those takedowns and go for the knockout. So, there you have it. That pretty much sums up that match. It was only a first rounder, so there's not a whole lot to say about that match. Then, in the co-main event, we had a heavyweight match with Alistair and Travis Browne. Wow. My jaw dropped when Alistair got knocked out in the first round. Front kick and punches. Yeah, Travis Browne won by KO. Congrats, Travis Browne. I say give Travis Browne either a title shot or a number 1 contenders match as his next match. He's earned it. He just beat a top 5 guy. He was ranked number 8. So, give him either number 1 contenders fight or a title shot. Maybe like a Stipe Miocic or something. Someone else that's in the top 10. You know, I think that would be someone along those lines. I think that would be a great fight. And then in the bantamweight division, we had Uriah Faber versus Yuri Alcantara. Yeah, what did I tell you? This fight is one of the fights I was right about. Uriah Faber, he got tested in the submission game with Yuri Alcantara. But Uriah Faber, someone forgot to give him his black belt, as far as I'm concerned. And he's Division I All-American Wrestling. And Yuri Alcantara is a good MMA fighter. He's going to get better. He's going to get better over time. His primary thing is his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And as long as his opponents are aware of that, they have at least a fighting chance at beating him. But Yuri's still tough. He can still knock people out. And Uriah Faber, I think a good matchup for him would be Michael McDonald, who won on the prelims. They're both ranked in top 5 in bantamweight division. They're both looking good. They both had title shots in their weight class and fell short for one reason or another. But I think both fighters have improved. And I think it would be a good, exciting fight in the bantamweight division. So, yeah, Uriah Faber won unanimous decision, but that first round was real battle-tested for him. He got tested, and I was worried for a second that Faber was going to get submitted, but at the end of the day, it is Uriah Faber, and it's really hard to submit him. And it's hard to knock him out when he has you on the ground getting those single and double leg takedowns. So good job, Uriah Faber. Happy for you. Hope you get a title shot soon. Or Michael McDonald, one of the two. I'm a big fan of both. Then in the welterweight division, we had Matt Browne versus Mike Pyle. Now this was the third match, one of the other three matches I was right about. Matt Browne won by knockout in the first round, 29 seconds I believe it was. Yeah, Mike Pyle, it's just, his chin is not as strong as Matt Browne's, and Matt Browne has that killer stand-up. So, somewhat good ground game. I would say Mike Pyle, if the fight went to the ground, Mike Pyle would definitely have an advantage in terms of pure jiu-jitsu. But yeah, Matt Browne, he's learned from his mistakes in the past. He's got him back on track, obviously. Now he's on a 6-fight win streak. I say give him a #1 contenders match, or maybe even a title shot, especially if someone gets injured. Maybe just give him the title shot. I mean, 6-fight win streak. If he wins his next match, that'll be 7 in a row. You can't really deny the guy a title shot at that point. It would just be ridiculous. Yeah, Matt Browne's tough. He definitely worked on his submission defense and his knockout power and his overall stand-up. Great fighter. Then, yeah, so Matt Browne won by KO in the first round, about 29 seconds. Then in the middleweight division, we had Uriah Hall versus John Howard. Now this is the fight where you get a sleeping bag and you sleep. You need to take a cat nap. You sleep for about 15 minutes because, well, there's 3 5-minute rounds and then you got a minute between each round. You set your alarm clock, you get the sleeping bag, you go in front of the TV, you take a 15-minute nap, and then you wake up so that way you can hear the end result of this fight and then go on to the next fight. Yeah, this fight was just, yeah, John Howard won by split decision, but I felt like both fighters weren't really going for as much as they should, considering their career being on the line in UFC. More so Uriah Hall, but John Howard, he's been cut by the UFC before, and this was his first fight back. He needed to make a statement. I don't feel like he made that statement. And Uriah Hall, Dana White said he was borderline on that chopping block before the fight. And Uriah Hall just kept feeling like, oh, I'm going to go for takedowns and use my wrestling that Mark Munoz taught me. And, oh, I really worked on my wrestling since my last fight. But Uriah Hall needed to realize, look, just outstrike the guy. Then you can at least win a unanimous decision, save your UFC career, get that W. And Uriah Hall just was like, oh, well, I'm going to use my wrestling and go for takedowns and telegraph the takedown in front of John Howard. And John Howard just kept stuffing the takedowns. It's ridiculous. And every time John Howard stuffed the takedowns, John Howard would find a way to land some more clean shots, whether it was against a cage or not. And yeah, I say John Howard did win fairly. He won the split decision fair and square. That sounds about right on the scorecards. But John Howard, I felt like John Howard could have been more aggressive on the takedowns in the first couple rounds. Because the round 3 there was some takedowns. And yeah, the first couple rounds though, John Howard should have taken Uriah Hall down and gone for a submission, because Uriah Hall is known for his killer stand-up. And John Howard is a MMA pro veteran. Yeah, it was just a boring match. I was disappointed because I'm a big Uriah Hall fan. I felt let down. I'm still a Uriah Hall fan. You know, I forgive him, but I'm just really disappointed. I almost don't care at this point if the UFC decides to keep him or not. We'll see. We'll see where Uriah Hall goes from here. But yeah, John Howard, he lives to see another day. Hopefully John Howard's next match will be a lot more entertaining. And then to kick off the main card, we had Joe Lauzon versus Michael Johnson. Wow, was I wrong about this match. I thought for sure Joe Lauzon was going to get a takedown. And yeah, this was in the lightweight division. Joe Lauzon's no joke. He's no slouch. He's been fighting in this weight class for ages. And I thought for sure Joe Lauzon's going to get the takedown and submit Michael Johnson in the first or second round. But Michael Johnson was able to stuff those takedowns and keep it standing and use his speed and his fancy footwork and land more punches, kicks, you name it. And it just really threw off Joe Lauzon in his game. I was really shocked to see how good Michael Johnson can be against a guy like Joe Lauzon. Hard to say where Michael Johnson goes from here, because we've seen this before where he'll look impressive and then his next fight will be whatever, or who knows. So it's hard to say where Michael Johnson goes from here, but he definitely earned that unanimous decision victory, 30-27, I believe it was. But yeah, Michael Johnson, it was definitely a clean unanimous decision, no matter what exactly the scorecards had it. So yeah, that sums up the main card of UFC on Fox Sports 1. And stay tuned for my next episode, which will be UFC on Fox Sports 1-2, which is Carlos Condit versus Martin Kampmann in a welterweight battle of the ages rematch. Martin Kampmann won the first match, so Condit's going to try to win this rematch. And I will be doing a pre-fight show for that in the coming probably week or so. That fight's on the 28th, I believe, 27th, 28th. Anyways, so check it out. I'll have a pre-fight show before that match for sure. And until then, see ya.